Kate Martin entered the WNBA with real momentum, but it did not take long for that excitement to turn into a mess. The former Iowa star, the same trusted running mate who helped Caitlin Clark push the Hawkeyes to back-to-back Final Fours, ended up buried on the Las Vegas Aces bench while her rookie path started going nowhere fast.
I feel like your two Iowa teams left a mark on women's college basketball, but also women's basketball at large. Is that like kind of crazy to think about? Like you were a part of something that was a catalyst for this like larger growth.
One game after another, the minutes dried up, the rhythm disappeared, and the team that should have been helping her grow looked perfectly comfortable letting her get lost in the background. Then everything shifted with one phone call, and it came from Caitlin Clark. In a new interview, Kate revealed the exact moment she understood Vegas was never really the right fit, the conversation with Caitlin that helped bring her edge back, and why landing with the Golden State Valkyries did not just feel like a transfer. It felt like getting her career back. If you're rooting for Kate, then comment Kate the Great in the comments.
Well, I had heard about this Caitlin Clark, and I was like watching videos of her just like having like 40 points, like averaging a million in high school. And I was like, oh, this girl thinks she's gonna come here and rule the world, you know, like whatever. It's gonna be, you know, whatever. And there she did, came in right away and ruled the world. And I was like, all right, here we go.
To understand how this story ended up here, you have to go back to Iowa. Before Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin turned Carver Hawkeye Arena into one of the loudest stages in college basketball, Iowa women's hoops was not at the center of the national conversation. Then those two changed everything. Home games stopped feeling ordinary and started feeling like events. Not because of hype, but because of what they built on the floor. Caitlin brought the fireworks, the logo threes, and the viral moments. Kate brought the structure. She was the connector, the stabilizer, the player making the whole thing work underneath the spotlight. She was never just an extra piece. She was part of the engine.
I just remember you have that summer before, and she was doing things that I had never seen anybody do before. And as a freshman, to come in and have that kind of confidence, like not everybody has that. Like I was like, oh, I haven't really seen anything like this. And so we knew she was going to be outstanding. And then, at the beginning of the year, we had some big wins, and there was highs and lows that year for sure. But, it took us a little bit to figure it out. But it obviously turned out better than I could have ever expected or thought.
Think about those Final Four runs in 2023 and 2024. Most people remember Caitlin exploding for huge scoring nights and breaking records, and fair enough. But if you look past the headlines, Kate Martin was giving Iowa 13.1 points and nearly 7 rebounds a game. That is not a background player stat line. That is real production from someone carrying real weight. What made Kate special was that she understood her value without turning it into a competition. She did not need to outshine Caitlin to matter. Her gift was making Caitlin, and the whole team, even tougher to stop. She was the glue, the balance, and the steady force that kept everything connected.
Well, real quick, what did you notice about Caitlin's work ethic?
Yeah.
Was there anything that stood out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was in the gym constantly. Yeah. And it was like the way she approached everything too was like, it was like with a sort of excellence. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to go through the motions and like whatever. It was like, no, like I'm here to kick your butt in every single drill, every single practice. Like, and especially whenever our like gray squad guys were playing against us, it was like, if you're across from me, you're my enemy, you know? Right. And like, I think that's just kind of how you have to approach things to get better. And she had that, next level mindset, and it really just raised us all up with her.
Go back to that Final Four win over South Carolina, the game that shocked an undefeated powerhouse and changed how people looked at Iowa. Kate has called it the defining moment of her career, and that makes sense. She was everywhere in that game, talking on defense, boxing out, cutting off actions, setting crushing screens, doing every little thing winning players do.
If you had to pick kind of like a favorite highlight, like getting to the Final Four, is it beating South Carolina and breaking their streak? Is it, getting to the final game? Like what would have been the moment?
I would say beating South Carolina.
Yeah, no, fair.
Was like,
that was incredible.
That was like the best moment ever. Cause like we like all believed that we could make it to a Final Four. And so we were just like, all right, we made it to a Final Four. Like, let's go. This is great. we didn't think we were going to really make it to the national championship. Like the undefeated South Carolina, they're like Twin Towers down there, like just a very long, athletic, good team. And so when we like executed that game plan perfectly and beat them, that was probably that's like still probably my career highlight.
She was the calm in the middle of pressure. When Caitlin needed room to create, Kate helped create it. When the team needed composure, Kate gave it. That kind of leadership does not fully show up in highlight reels, but it often decides who survives those huge tournament moments.
Yeah, I feel like looking back on it, and then even just talking to you now, it's like, yes, Caitlin is like a big focal point of the team.
Yeah.
She's going to have to do a lot of the scoring, all the things. And it's almost like good cop, bad cop or something.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean it in like literal terms, but she just had to like be herself, and that was going to win you games. But then you had to come in and kind of be like a calming effect and that. So I'm actually really curious, as these teams start to take shape in 2023 and then 2024, like what was your leadership style in conjunction with a player like Caitlin, but also the rest of your teammates?
And the bond between Caitlin and Kate was bigger than chemistry. It looked like instinct. Kate knew when to crash for a rebound off a Caitlin miss. Caitlin knew where Kate would be and when to trust her to keep a possession alive.
I was definitely more of like the calmer presence and being like, hey, like look me in the eyes, deep breath, like it's all gonna be okay. And I think like the leadership style that I really had was just like trust. Like she trusted me because she had seen me like putting in the work in the gym. She knew how much I cared. Like I was only 2 years older than her, but like she believed that like I had her best interest in mind. And like I showed her that over and over again. Like I built a relationship with her outside of basketball. I tried to build relationships with all my teammates outside of basketball. So it wasn't like the only time I'm talking to you is out on the court and telling you like, hey, like you can't do that, or like, hey, like do that, whatever. Is like,
it's called relationship equity.
Exactly.
Kate handled the screens, the rotations, the hustle rebounds, and all the work that rarely gets the flashy edit. That is why Iowa was so dangerous. It was never only about having a superstar. It was about having the exact right player beside her.
It's like if we needed to get across to Caitlin, like it was like Kate, like that was like my job at times. And then like her junior and sophomore year, like she had done so much like work on herself and like how to be like a great teammate and all of us together that like I didn't need to like, I don't know, like do all of that. Manage that as much as like I had in the past. But I felt grateful that, she trusted me enough and like I trusted her enough too, to where like it was a working relationship. And so then, I just kind of did that with all of my teammates. And I felt grateful that like I was the person who could speak up and they
it's also
trusted
great
me to
when
do
you're
that.
like rewarded, right? And you guys were rewarded in multiple ways, but one of them was getting to the Final Four.
Yeah.
But the WNBA is a completely different animal, and Kate Martin learned that fast. She probably believed that the same mix that made Iowa so dangerous, chemistry, grit, instincts, and smart basketball, would help her carve out a role in the pros. Instead, she ran straight into a wall in Las Vegas. The Aces drafted her, but what followed felt less like a rookie development plan and more like a slow, quiet push to the margins. While A'ja Wilson and Vegas's veteran stars soaked up every meaningful minute, Kate was mostly stuck watching from the side as her chance to build momentum disappeared. The numbers make the point pretty clearly. In May, she was averaging around 20 minutes a game, which is solid for a rookie trying to find her footing. By September, that number had dropped to just 11.5. Her stats fell with it, down to 2.6 points and 1.6 rebounds a night. That does not scream lack of talent. That screams lack of runway. The same player who was crashing the glass, making smart reads, and hitting shots in college was suddenly being reduced to staying ready on the bench with no real opening to prove anything.
Like you really do, but like it's just hard, as you know, like there's only 12 spots, whatever. And
when the playoffs arrived, it somehow got even uglier. 6 playoff games, 3 total minutes, 3. At that point, you are not talking about development anymore. You are talking about a decision, and the decision Vegas made was obvious. Kate Martin was not part of the real plan.
I'm curious. So now that you are into your second year, like what do you think, what makes the WNBA so difficult to play in?
Man, I mean, I just think the physicality, speed, smart players, like really smart players. And people have been around for so long, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back to like New York. They're massive. They are, you know, like, yeah, they're very, very, very good. Like a lot of these people have been playing professional basketball for a very long time.
Sue Bird has talked before about how difficult that jump from college to the WNBA can be. The speed is faster, the game is more physical, and the margin for mistakes gets tiny. Even great college players can get humbled by that adjustment. But in Kate's case, this was not just about learning the pro game. This was about being trapped in a spot where growth was never really being prioritized in the first place.
Scoring is not easy. Like, people who average like however many points, like, it's honestly so impressive. Like, I've never been more impressed by basketball than like now. Like, basketball is a simple game, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's an easy game. But yeah, like people work really hard. They are long, they're big, they're fast, they're physical. So me just like having to learn how to be patient, play off of 2 feet, play in control. That is something, you know, I'm still working on, because sometimes you're like trying to do the right thing always and like make the right read, but then you forget like, hey, just go play basketball.
That is because the Aces were built in a way that almost guaranteed it. Veterans like Asia Wilson and Chelsea Gray were always going to dominate the rotation, and Becky Hammon was never going to shake up that hierarchy just to experiment with a rookie. In that environment, young players were not exactly being brought along carefully. They were more like depth pieces until further notice. Kate was not really fighting for minutes against players on her level. She was trying to break into a veteran machine that had no interest in making room. That is not an indictment of her ability. It is an indictment of the situation she landed in. And that is what had to hurt the most. Every game she barely touched the floor, it probably felt like her career was drifting backward in real time. Every practice where she was running scout team reps instead of growing into her own role had to feel like a punishment for believing she belonged there. The confidence she built at Iowa was not being challenged in a healthy way. It was being chipped away by circumstance, hierarchy, and a setup that never gave her a fair chance to breathe.
It's because it's really, really hard to come off the bench in what is a version of limited minutes compared to starters. It's not always that case, but you get my point. In a limited amount of time and be really impactful.
Yeah.
That is one of, I think, the hardest things. And anytime I've been around a teammate who's been able to do that, at times it's more impressive than the star player who just has that ultra green light. And you've kind of already brought up the balance.
That is the cruel lesson she ended up learning. The WNBA does not only test how good you are, it tests where you land and when. You can have the talent, the toughness, and the IQ, but if you end up in the wrong system with the wrong priorities, none of that gets room to grow. Talent cannot flourish when it is buried under politics and pecking order. And in Las Vegas, under Asia Wilson's shadow and inside Becky Hammon's rigid rotation, Kate Martin was not being built up. She was being left behind. There was one phone call that changed everything for Kate Martin. One conversation that stopped her career from fading away in Las Vegas. At her lowest point, buried on the Aces bench and starting to wonder whether she truly belonged in the WNBA, Kate reached out to the person she had always trusted when things got cloudy. She called Caitlin Clark.
How did you feel about the whole expansion draft situation?
I was really excited.
Okay. Yeah. So when you weren't protected, were you like kind of expecting that? And then it was like, whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that. I mean, you just looked at the roster and you're like, there's just like too many good players. It's a business. Like, you know, like it is what it is.
This was not just a casual catch-up. It was the kind of call that resets your whole mindset. Caitlin was already dealing with her own harsh adjustment in Indiana. The speed, the physicality, the pressure of being treated like the face of an entire league. But the moment Kate explained what was happening in Vegas, Caitlin understood the issue. It was not Kate's talent. It was the setup around her. Caitlin told her what nobody in that situation seemed willing to admit. Kate was not failing. The environment was failing her.
Up until then, I didn't know if I had been protected or not.
Okay.
And so...
Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't actually tell you.
They told some people, but they didn't. I was not
No,
informed.
it's actually smart they don't tell.
Yeah.
Because that would just be...
Yeah.
That'd be messed up.
Yeah. And so when I got told I was going to get picked up, I was just super excited for another opportunity. Like, some people don't get opportunities to go to a training camp or, like, you know, get the opportunity to make a team. And so the fact that I knew I was going to get another shot, I was excited and felt really grateful for it. So yeah, I was really happy.
Yeah. I mean,
that hit hard because it came from someone who knew exactly what Kate brings to winning basketball. Caitlin reminded her of what they built at Iowa: the trust, the chemistry, the feel for each other's game, and the way Kate's presence always made everything smoother. She helped Kate see that success is not always about forcing yourself to survive in the wrong place. Sometimes it is about finding the right one. Suddenly, leaving Vegas did not look like giving up. It looked like choosing herself. Sue Bird has said players need the right system, not just a roster spot, but a team that actually values what they do. That became real for Kate. So when the Golden State Valkyries selected her in the expansion draft, it did not feel like a small move. It felt like a fresh start. Vegas treated her like she was expendable. Golden State treated her like she mattered.
now you're in the Bay. It's a new franchise. Season tickets were sold out immediately. I've heard home games are insane.
They are.
The owners have come out. They said a chip within the first 5 years. So the expectations are high. But like you said, it was an opportunity to make a team, and you did. So what has that excitement of a new franchise been like?
And the Valkyries knew what they were getting: a leader, a communicator, and a player who shapes culture before she even takes a shot. In her first interview, Kate said this league is all about opportunity, and sometimes you only need one real chance. That summed it up perfectly. Caitlin gave her the belief to bet on herself, and Golden State gave her a place to make that bet count. That phone call did not just save her career, it brought her confidence back. But let's be honest, this move is bigger than a jersey swap. This is a real reset, the kind most players only get once. Expansion teams give you something rare in pro sports, a chance to help build from the ground up instead of forcing yourself into somebody else's finished structure. That is exactly what Kate Martin needed: a clean slate and a chance to define herself on her own terms.
It's been awesome.
It's got to be insane.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like, the fans really are so loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been awesome in Chase Center. And they've been sticking with it the whole game. Like, when we were losing to LA the first game, they stayed the entire time and they cheered us on from the first minute to the last minute. And so that means a lot as a team.
Yeah.
Like, seeing your fans stay and cheer for you. They were invested. It was just really cool. And like, you see people in the Bay Area just wearing Valkyries gear all the time.
Golden State is almost the exact opposite of Las Vegas. The Aces were built around stars, status, and a rigid rotation. A'ja Wilson was at the center of it, and once that hierarchy was set, there was barely any space left for a young player to grow. Kate was never walking into a system designed to develop her. The Valkyries are different. They are building from scratch, so fit, chemistry, and basketball character actually matter. The Valkyries wanted smart, unselfish players who could help create the team's identity. That description fits Kate perfectly. Head coach Natalie Nakasi already knew what Kate could bring from watching her in Vegas, but now the setup is completely different. In Golden State, the standard is effort, communication, and intent. Mistakes can be corrected. Drifting through the game cannot. That works in Kate's favor because she has never needed perfection to be valuable. She just needs a real chance to compete and impact the game with her energy. In this environment, that kind of player matters.
It just feels really cool to be part of that history, a part of something so new. And we obviously know it's going to be like a huge learning year for us, but I'm grateful to do it with all of the girls on this roster.
And that is exactly what was missing with the Aces. In Vegas, rookies could disappear behind the veteran machine. In Golden State, Kate is not an afterthought or an insurance policy. She is part of the foundation. Her role is to help shape the culture with the same traits that made her so important at Iowa: toughness, steadiness, hustle, and that unselfish glue player presence that made life easier for Caitlin Clark and everybody else around her. On the court, her job is simple but important. Rebound hard, defend with purpose, make the smart pass, hit the open shot. She is not chasing hollow stats. She is building trust. Every box out, every rotation, every hustle play is another reminder that she belongs in this league, especially now that she is finally in a system that will reward those things. That is how real roles are earned, not through hype, but through winning details coaches can trust every single night over a long season.
People's focus is just like here with us and like whatever happened. But yeah, I mean, I think in ways people can be like, oh, like, man, I didn't get protected. Like as like an athlete, you know, it's kind of hard not to be like, oh, they didn't want
motivation.
Me, you know, like,
Totally.
or like kind of feels like a failure in some type of way, or like rejection maybe is a better word. But everybody's like energy, everybody's excitement to get better and to learn and to build each other up has been phenomenal. So
this is what Sue Bird meant when she talked about players needing the right fit. Golden State is giving Kate the room to grow that Las Vegas never gave her. The Valkyries did not just hand her a role. They handed her a purpose. They gave her a real chance to matter from day one. That is why leaving the Aces was not failure. It was freedom. From Iowa to Vegas to Golden State, Kate Martin's story has always been about resilience. Now, for the first time in a while, it also looks like redemption.
I really love it, honestly. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, they brought a crazy spark. Like they very high IQ, like want to play fast. And yeah, they just get out and go. And so that's how we want to play too. You know, we want to play fast and we want to, you know, as you guys have probably can see with the numbers, we want to shoot a lot of threes too. And so their experience, like, yeah, they're young, but they've been playing pro for way more, like a really long time. So they have a lot of experience and they've brought a lot of fun to the team for sure.
The Golden State Valkyries are betting on Kate Martin's leadership. Caitlin Clark reminded her what her value really is. And Kate? She is proving that sometimes the smartest move is to stop waiting for a door to open and go build your own. So the next time you see her in that Valkyries jersey, remember the path it took to get there. The bench time, the frustration, the doubt, and the one phone call that changed everything. This is not just a comeback story. It is a lesson in believing in yourself before anybody else does. If you're rooting for Kate, then comment Kate the Great in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.